Kia ora e te whānau, no mai hoki mai ki Tuku Talks, a podcast where we talk about anything to do with rangatahi. You're here with me, one of your co-hosts, Turia Schmidt-Peke.
I'm the other to the host, I'm Janaye Henry.
And we are here back in the car park. You may hear, who knows what you'll hear? You may hear cars, you may hear horns.
Birds, tamariki, rumbuxes.
Let's wait and see, eh? Let's find out. But today we are talking about business. I'm sure all our listeners are keen to hear, see what advice they can get. And we are joined by Shay Wright. Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou. I'm Shay, I'm from the far north. And I've been doing business since I was about 6 years old. So I've always kind of been curious about it, and that's been my journey for the last many years, is to learn how do we do it well and how do we grow Māori businesses in particular. So yeah, looking forward to having a chat about it.
Cool, love that. Well, we'll get straight into it. With the first part, what is business, Shay?
Yeah, so that's a big question. Eh? It's a hard one to unpack, but I remember when I was 6 and I was at school, primary school, and I was like, how do I take what little skills I have as a 6-year-old and make something of it? And so I started drawing these pictures in the playground. Like I was drawing in the lunchtime and that, and I would put them out at lunchtime and try and sell them to the teachers. And I sold them all. I think mainly out of pity. I think they were like feeling sorry for me because I was sitting out there and none of the kids were buying my pictures. And I sold them. I made like probably $8.60 or something. So I was pretty stoked, eh? Like as a 6-year-old. Yeah. They wouldn't let me take the money home though. So I had to gift that back to the school. And so I kind of became a philanthropist at 6 years old, and it went into the sand pit, new sand for the sand pit. But what I learned from that was that we can actually make some product or service, we can sell it and make money from it. And that was kind of a theme that I continued to do throughout my schooling. Yeah. So one time I was saving for a trip to go to South Africa. And rather than just do like a typical fundraiser of like sausage sizzles or whatever, I thought, okay, how am I going to do something a bit different to make money? So what I did is I was good at design on a computer. Yeah, so I designed up these, I found a customer, I found someone who wanted a design done, which was a local trust, like an environmental trust, and I designed them a brochure. And that brochure was just to go in like the information center and things so that they could put the word out of what they're doing. And yeah, made hundreds of dollars from that. And I went, this is another way to make money, right? It's like using my own skills. It's solving a problem that they had. And it was a service, because I always thought businesses was about products, having a product and selling it. So I'd done various little product things when I was at school, like taking little plants from the garden, putting them in pots and then selling them as pot plants. I'd tried heaps of things. When I was at high school, I was quite interested in cars. So I bought tachometers that go like mount on the dashboard so you can tell your rev count, and they send a little light out when you're like redlining and stuff.
Oh, fussy.
Yeah, so like boy racers have all got tachos in their cars. So I bought those from China and sold those. And yeah, so I was like, okay, there's more than just a product here. There's services as well. Like I could use my skills, I could use my passions, turn my passion into a business. So really the process of business is about finding a problem that somebody has and finding a way to solve it. And you could solve it through a product, you could solve it through a service. Usually the end result is that you're given money by them to solve the problem. And that's really the nature of what business is.
And are those the different types of businesses, either product or service? Are there any others, or that's pretty much it?
Those are the two kind of broad categories of a business. And then there's a thing called a business model, which is about how do you make your money. So if we think about like in the music industry and a business model, we can see how there are examples of products and services over time. So at the very beginning, like back when even I was like not even born, they used to have these big things called records, like big CDs, but they're huge, right? And so an artist would record their music and they would sell their records. Yeah. Or they'd sell their merch at a concert. Yeah. Those were two ways that singers and songwriters would get money. And then after that, they had CDs, so another product, but it was smaller. And then after that, they had the MP3 player. Yeah. And then we had the iPod. And what we're seeing with the iPod was suddenly you were buying that physical device from Apple, but to get the songs, and if you were a music producer, like an artist, you were actually selling at the file, right? So you'd get like $1.69 per download of your thing. So we can see here a change from selling a CD to actually selling an online file. So now you're kind of selling a service. And then after we had the iPod, then we had the iTunes model, which is you kind of like, you go in there and you've got a whole library of people's things. And then now you've got Spotify.
Yeah.
So you're not even buying individual songs, you're buying a subscription
So the service.
any song. So that's what the business model is. It's about what's the way we're going to make money.
All right.
Yeah, and that's kind of the really important thing to figure out in business is what's the problem, what's the solution, what's the way that I need to make the money, and then kind of like how do I target my customers? How do I know who's going to buy it, who I want to sell this to, really understand them, and how do I find more of them?
I gotta say, I was a scammy little kid, Because, like, in theory, I should have been buying the songs in the library, but I had LimeWire. Back in the day.
Yeah, LimeWire. I remember that.
Remember that? No.
Yeah, well, I'll admit it. I mean, I'll admit it.
YouTube, MP3 converter.
Nowadays you got YouTube, Like, so you don't even really, or you got the free version of Spotify. You just got to deal with the ads.
Yeah,
that's another business model, right? Which is don't even sell the service, sell the advertising.
Get a premium one so you don't have to add more money.
But Spotify really did a thing because, like, I used to be LimeWire hard. Those like the people's little watermarks in the songs, like you're listening to a song. And it's like,
this is LimeWire.
Yeah. And so now I'm like, I actually would rather just pay a Spotify subscription monthly, so I don't have to go through like the constant hassle of risking virus. So it is still a solution to a problem, like you said. I also gotta wonder what solution was your art to in school when your first business?
What problem?
Well, that's a good question, right? Because I mean, when I was that young, I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking like,
joy.
What can I make? And joy, and like, what do I want to make? And will people buy it? And so we can have businesses that work purely out of joy and out of our own interests.
Love that.
But too many times, because we've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses around the motu, right? Around the country, and Māori businesses mainly, but even once I've travelled overseas, I've seen many other businesses too. And too often people aren't thinking about the problem they're actually solving for someone. They're just thinking about like, what do I want to make or what do I want to sell? And so they're not putting themselves in the shoes of a customer. And for a customer, you need to think about, are they willing and are they able to actually pay me for what I'm trying to give them? And if they don't have the money, or they're not really wanting what you have enough, then
they're not going to buy it.
It's not really a good business idea. Or it just means that you're actually targeting the wrong customer. So your product might be right, but you're focused on the wrong market. So for those that have a business and are looking to grow it, one thing I learned from working in the Ice House, which is a top 10 in the world business incubator, is that there's a journey to go through to go from idea through to successful business. One of those key stages of that process is a thing called product market fit, which is a very technical kind of term, and actually it's quite a hard one to get our heads around in terms of actually doing it well. But it essentially means, do I have a product that fits a market? Do I know who my market is? Do I know who my customer is, who my audience is, where they're based, how much they're willing to spend, all of that detail? And have I actually found something that I can prove they're willing to buy? Not just once, not just one person, but like heaps of people. And when we talk about ongoing, here's the golden little tip around business, or like the best place to be. The best place to be if you're a business owner or if you're wanting a business is to have a business that makes recurring revenue. Like this is the golden goose. So recurring revenue is when you sell your product or service to a customer, and then they continue to pay you over time. So let's think about Spotify. You mentioned Spotify. Every month you're paying Spotify their $15 or whatever it costs as a subscription.
Like Netflix and Disney Plus.
Yeah, exactly. A gym is another example. Most people who go to the gym don't even, who pay for the gym don't even go to the gym.
That's me. This way.
You get your New Year's resolution. You go, this year's the year I'm going to go to the gym. You sign up, and you don't even go. And they actually their whole model relies on that because they don't actually have enough. If everyone that was on their books went to the gym, no one could fit in there. So they hope that about 20% of people that actually pay for it even turn up, which is about what it is.
Ooh.
So these are examples of recurring revenue businesses.
Yeah.
And I know from being on the opposite end of that spectrum how amazing that is, because the business that we have, or the businesses that we've had over time, none of them have been recurring revenue businesses. So we've always made a product, made a service, had to sell it, and then that person's kind of like bought it and then walked away. We've filled their need, and then we have to go find another customer. And you spend all your time just hustling the sales.
Yeah.
But if you get recurring revenue, you're like, sweet, I got my customer. They're signed into like purchase over time, and then I just keep selling them every month. I don't even worry about more sales to that person. That's the golden secret around like setting up a successful company.
Otherwise, you're just
working double time. So much grinding.
Yeah.
Just to keep going, just to even break even.
Yeah.
Yeah. To not even to grow. But there's only 3 ways to grow a business. So that's also useful to know. Is like if we are in business and we're kicking along, you know, we're making a bit of money, we're finding that we think we're on the right track, and then we want to grow it. There's only 3 ways to grow it.
Are you gonna?
Yeah. You want to know what they are?
Yeah.
So the first way to grow a business is you sell to more customers. The same product, and you just go, how do I find new customers and sell more to them?
Okay.
Second way to grow a business is that you increase the basket size, which means once they've bought their thing, you do the old McDonald's line of, do you want fries with that? And you sell them something else.
Yeah. Like get rid of the ads, pay a bit more, and you don't have ads, and it's like just...
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I hate it when they do those, but that's, that's how it goes.
That's how they're billion-dollar companies, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the increasing the basket size means don't just sell them that one product, find other problems that they have too, and sell them those along with it. Basically package up a whole basket of things to sell them.
Like Apple, with the new charger.
And then they change the thing, and then you have to buy the adapter and
everything.
Isn't that just a
they're already trillion there, like they're in the trillions.
But that's like blowing my mind because I used to work retail, and my manager used to make me do that at checkout. I'd have to be like necklace socks. Do you know what I mean? Like
do you want to give $2 to the Ronald McDonald Foundation?
Yeah,
no.
It was quite humiliating, but I was like, bracelet, earrings. Like you have to like do all the add-ons. I was actually really good at it because I'm like scammy and an actor. So
it's it's in those add-ons. Usually that's where your profit is, because every product's going to make a different amount of profit, right? So with profit being the difference between what it costs you and what you can sell it for. So if you can make your add-ons make even more profit, you've already got the customer in the door. They've already, and this is why supermarkets are real good. Like their bread and their milks, they make almost no profit on. So they want people to come in to get their bread and their milk and their staples. And then when they're in there, they're like, okay, how do we sell them the extra stuff, like the chocolates and the flash things?
They've got to be making money on cheese these days.
And the cheese, Yep.
That's my budget.
Hard out.
Cheese gone.
Especially like the cheeses that go on the nice platters with the crackers and all that. Like, like
lovely.
$10 for crackers.
Yeah,
it's
that's...
like, hey.
Nah.
But, like, these are the things that we do. We buy those things and they make them profit off that stuff. So the second way to grow a business is to increase the basket size. And then the third thing is to increase the frequency of purchase.
Ooh.
So if you've got a customer, rather than them buy once a year or once a month, how do you increase that frequency and get them to be buying more regularly?
Make it a habit of theirs, keep buying a few.
Hard out.
Is that like a gym membership? Like what's an example of that?
Yeah, gym membership's an interesting one because usually you would pay for every month. But you might try and, like, if we're thinking about how to grow the business of a gym membership, you might have additional classes that they can join that's not part of the standard membership, for example. And you find out what are they more interested in. And, like, they might be interested in, like, say it's women and they're pregnant. They might be interested in kind of like pregnancy Pilates classes or something. So it's like, cool, well, that's a special extra service. That's more. You might go, okay, there's actually products you can buy. You can buy your yoga mat, you can buy your weight belt, all the things. And you sell those products as well as just a basic gym membership.
Is that basket or is that the last one?
Oh, that's probably the increase the basket size, like extra services as well. And then increasing the frequency, that's a pretty tricky one for a gym. But this is why not supermarkets, takeaways kind of want to get you in the habit of like, have your whānau meal every Friday at KFC or whatever, you know, like they want you to come back regularly.
Make it a part of your life, kind of like.
Yeah, whereas it's probably better for us if that becomes like a treat that we do like only on real special occasions, going out and getting takeaways or whatever, because it's actually really expensive.
Yeah.
Like a lot of whānau I know think that takeaways is cheap.
Yeah.
It's actually not. Like,
not when the dad needs like 4 burgers to get full.
Yeah.
And everyone eats nuggets.
It'd be like over $100 just for takeaways, eh?
Yeah,
for a meal. It's like, whoa.
How do you pick and save?
Yeah, totally. So those are the 3 ways to grow a business. And I think that if we do all 3 of them, if we think about, okay, I've got my little thing, I'm hustling along. How do I do all 3 of those things? Yeah. How do I sell to more customers? And when I've got my customers, how do I sell them more products? How do I get them to buy it more frequently?
Yeah.
All 3 of those is going to really grow our business.
Oh,
really
me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, so you've talked about, I don't know if the listeners know, you've talked about like what you do in your business, Te Whare Huka Huka. Can you talk more about what that is? Because we've kind of talked about you helping other businesses and stuff, but I don't think anyone really knows what you do, especially with Te Whare Huka Huka.
Yeah, true. So Te Whare Huka Huka is really our first big business that we kicked off about 10 years ago. And it came from this idea, which was we have like all of these Māori businesses around Motu. We have mums and dads who have got their little businesses. We've got now rangatahi, like really getting interested in it. But we also have our iwi organisations, our land trusts, our social service providers, Māori organisations that are wanting to grow.
Yeah.
And wanting to grow usually for the benefit of whānau, to help whānau more. And we didn't see anybody really helping them. And like helping them understand how do they grow their business, how do they make it stronger, guiding them, educating them on what they can do to make it more successful or to withstand the risks of things like COVID or like a recession. Yeah.
With your guys' particular business, do you guys have many competitors in your guys' field? Like, are there?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that kind of do what we do.
Yeah.
And so, in almost every industry, you'll find there are heaps of competitors.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing everything's saturated, and especially now with the internet, because you can just look up anything, right? Before it was like, who's in my local town doing this? But now it's like, I could go anywhere and get this service. I could get it sent to me from anywhere in the world by Amazon in like 2 days. You know?
Yeah.
So, what I reckon the key thing there is to stand out. And there's this concept by a marketing guru called Seth Godin. He talks about be the purple cow. And so the purple cow, his idea came from him and his family were driving through America and like through fields and fields of cows, black and white cows, and the kids were getting bored in the back seat. And you know, it's pretty boring and it's like going for ages, hours and hours. Yeah. And then suddenly they see a purple cow in the paddock. And the kids are like, whoa, there's a purple cow. So they stop, they take selfies with the purple cow and they're trying to find some internet to post it to their Instagram, and then they're going home and they're like telling their mates about it, and they're drawing pictures of it at school and showing the kids at school and stuff. And this whole idea is like a purple cow is just so remarkable and distinctive that it stands out in the sea of black and white.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be in our businesses.
Everyone wants to take photo with that cow, eh?
That's right. We need to be the one that everyone wants to be part of and build like a community around us. And that's where I think we move our business from just being a product or a service to actually a kaupapa.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I think are amazing. I think the All Blacks is a great example of a kaupapa. I think Iron Māori is a great example of a kaupapa.
Oh, yeah. All Blacks, like what do you...
Well, just because it's a brand. In fact, it's such a valuable brand. We're talking here about a $1 billion brand globally. Everybody knows them.
Yeah.
And so it's not like just any other rugby team.
Yeah.
And it's actually not even linked to their performance necessarily. People love the All Blacks just for the kaupapa, the brand,
haka.
the fact that they do the haka as well. And like these are all just little tohu of what they add into their overall kaupapa, so the brand. And so and Iron Māori is another good one because they're not just about, you know, creating another triathlon.
Yeah.
It's actually like a let's get fit together, let's be on a more healthy lifestyle.
A fun base, yeah, cool.
Yeah, and we have like tens of thousands of people go to Iron Māori for that. And that's the kind of thing I think is really important in business for me is it's not just about making some more money. It's not just about money. Like, that's actually of very little interest to me.
Oh, no.
I'm kind of more interested in what impact can I create? What difference can I make in my community or for whānau or for those that need some support of some sort? And then how do I build a business model around that? Hey, so like how do we, rather than just start with a product and then try and wrap a kaupapa into it, we could try that. Well, we can do that, and that's cool. That's better than having no kaupapa.
Yeah.
But I think the best one is, what is the kaupapa we care most about?
Yeah.
And then how do we find a ways to bring our, our hautututanga to that, our Māui pōtikitanga, our entrepreneurialism, our innovation, our think different, our purple cow kind of, distinctiveness, and make that kaupapa into a self-sustaining business. And they did it with Iron Māori as an example.
It's cool. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was gonna say it's cool as because like you're a purple cow, but like you're in the business of making other cows purple too.
Yeah.
And that's real cool.
Yeah, and that was for me like something that I've never really got my head around, is we've always been in the process of other people, like we just want to be supporters of other people's success.
Yeah.
And what I've found though is like we get profiled a lot. Like, we win all these awards and we do interviews and all this, and I'm like, yeah, but it's actually about like these other businesses. So it's really cool now to see like so many other businesses that we've worked with or helped start or helped become successful out there, like winning awards, getting interviews, being successful in their communities. I'm like, that is exactly why we started it. And it does take time, Like in business, sometimes we start off and we want to see like success immediately. But it's like planting seeds, Like if we plant a seed, we need to have patience and wait for that thing to grow. We can't dig up the seed all the time just to see if it's growing. You just need to have faith that it's all plant a couple of seeds maybe, and then just have faith in them and water them. And so I was at a wānanga recently and heard this model of the stages of business, almost like the whakapapa of success. And I was like, this is rawe. And so that started out with, there's this 5-stage process, right? And so it starts off with te rapunga. Te rapunga being this search for, this figuring out of like, what do I really want to do? What's going to be successful? That whole market validation. Hea te take, and then what's also going to be the solution for that? So that starts with
that's the
te
first
rapunga.
one.
Then after that, then we get te whāinga. Te whāinga being like, what's the goal I actually want to achieve? What's the outcome that we're progressing towards, and then that momentum towards it, the whai.
The destination,
and the destination and then the beginning of the journey.
Cool.
And then after that we have te hiringa, the perseverance, the persistence, because that's actually what it takes in business.
Yeah, you got to stay in it.
Yeah, we could know where we want to go, but you're right. Every day is like a high or a low, and in entrepreneurship, it's up and down every day. Highest of highs and lowest of lows on a regular basis. So we have te rapunga, te whāinga, te hiringa. Then after that we have te whiwhinga. Te whiwhinga being the achievement, the success of that thing. And te whiwhinga as well as like bringing in the money.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We got there.
And see some of the hua coming
that's
away.
it. You can start to see those seeds coming out. You can start harvesting.
Cool. Yeah.
And then the last one there is te rawenga. The accomplishment, the celebration of the journey we've made. And so I feel like that's quite a beautiful way of thinking about the progress of business in a Māori sense of like, here's the whakapapa. It always starts from te rapunga, and then te whāinga, then te hiringa, then te whiwhinga, and then te rawenga. And we may not always arrive at te rawenga immediately. We might need to go all the way back to the beginning.
Back and forth.
And it is, it's like that. But yeah, that's the way business is. And so it takes resilience. It really takes ability to smash through barriers, confront challenges on a regular basis, think differently, mitigate risks, have that persistence. Yeah.
Does your business do well in COVID? Like, lots of businesses, especially in Aotearoa, have really suffered because of the lockdowns and stuff.
Most.
Like, what do you think of that? And also, like, how did the COVID apply to your business? Because did it affect it?
It's a good question. I think because I spend a lot of time in the space of working on business and knowing how to mitigate risk and knowing how to make businesses stronger, more resilient, more successful. We did really well in COVID. We doubled.
Yeah, I saw that on a breakfast interview.
So, you know, like, we were all good, but most businesses weren't. You know, most whānau who had businesses weren't.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it was because, well, there's many reasons. Sometimes it was just, they just flat out couldn't operate.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in a hospo business, you just can't open your doors.
Like, the first lockdown was like nearly 10 weeks or something. So,
and
that's
like,
crazy.
Geez, we can't bring any money in. So, in some cases, businesses, they just, based on the type of business they were, there's no chance. But in many other circumstances, it was actually because of the business owners not focusing enough before COVID came on being ready. They weren't resilient in the way that they'd set up their companies. So, for example, like, we were like pretty traditional in our way of operating when we started. You know, we had an office, we spent like 40 grand a year on rent, all that kind of stuff. And then we all would come to the office and then we'd print out all our documents in paper and have them in all these folders, all that kind of stuff. And then over time we started to realize the importance of having good processes, systems and processes, usually digital systems. So then we moved everything online. So we moved all our documents onto the cloud, onto Google Drive, for example. We could use many other systems, but that one seemed to work for us because we could all edit from different places. And then we let go of our office as well. So we went, we're going to move out, freed up 40K worth of capital to then hire another team member.
Me.
Yeah.
And we could all work from home.
Me.
And then the process of moving from an office-based company to a work-from-home model, everything has to change, right? Because like, how do you know people are doing their work? They're all working from home. So all of your management systems and your accountability systems need to change. How are you going to talk to your team members if they're in a different part of the country? You know, suddenly it's not just lean across the desk and ask your teammate about XYZ issue. It's actually like, have to have a system for it. Is it going to be text? Is it going to be WhatsApp groups? Is it going to be using Slack or like some online tool? How much do we use email versus call? Like, it's about coming with all of these processes. So that everyone's on the same page. And we'd done all that. We did all that 2017, 16, 17, 18, that migration into a digital way of operating. So when COVID landed, like, we were already working from home. So like, nothing changed in our team's operations. What did change though was in the services we provided, because we were originally providing training programs where everyone would come together into a room and we'd run trainings, you know, on with the PowerPoint slide, and we'd talk about, and we'd have our little books. We couldn't do that anymore because COVID lockdown. So we shifted our whole service to e-commerce. So we were now teaching whānau, okay, whānau, COVID has landed. You can't open your business. How do you sell your product or service online?
Cool.
And actually what we found is businesses were able to grow when they adopted the online e-commerce digital marketing stuff, because suddenly their market wasn't just, you know, the town that they're in. It was like the world. It's like they could sell products to the world or services to the world. And so we shifted our whole product, our whole service suite, I should say, from governance training to e-commerce and digital marketing. And that opened up a whole new opportunity for us to now go global. So we're looking at other markets now around the world of where we can deliver Indigenous focused e-commerce training. It's been a really interesting journey, but all because we put in that groundwork early. We didn't wait for the wave to crash on us. We actually were learning how to ride the wave. And then by the time it landed, we're riding this thing.
Do you think that's important, that like every business should have a backup plan in case of those? Or and if they do, what does that kind of backup plan look like?
Yeah, I think it is important to have a backup plan, but it's just as important to start actioning the backup plan early. You can have it, but then and then like the wave crashes on and you dust off oh shit, where's our backup plan? Oh, there it is. And it's too late by that point, you know, usually. I mean, it's still better than nothing, because, you know, at least there you've done some thinking in a time where before the stress came on, so you've got some thinking to be done. But really, you want to have started actioning that early. And most businesses are so focused on the day-to-day, like, just doing the do.
Surviving.
The surviving, the doing the mahi, that they don't actually spend enough time stepping back and going, what is our goals, what are the big risks, what are the trends that are like changing in the world, and how are we adapting, and actually like how could we grow our business, what is the strategies we could use, do we have good systems and processes in place, where's our waka leaking water, you know, and how do we patch up some of those areas, and like that stuff matters as much if not more than just doing the do every day. But we get stuck in the day-to-day, you know, most often, because we're like, oh my gosh, we finished the day, like 7 o'clock at night, it's still not finished. And you gotta go home and do the accounts, you gotta do the invoicing, and you gotta respond to the 100 emails, all that. And it's like, oh man, you get so bogged down in the day-to-day, you don't have time for this other stuff, but it's the other stuff that will really make or break a business in the long term.
I don't know if we've touched on this, and I'm kind of going back, but like how is someone like, I bet you heaps of people, side hustle, you know, lots of people, especially this day and age, especially rangatahi, are making side hustles. What's the difference between like side hustle versus an actual side business? Because your one isn't a side hustle, eh?
Nah,
you actually created a full running business with admin and everything.
Yeah, 16 team members, multiple managers, the whole lot. So that's very different to a side hustle, eh? But side hustle's a great place to start. The best thing about the side hustle is that we don't even need to like necessarily set up register a company. We can just be making money on the side. And we still have to like declare that for tax purposes.
Yeah, I was like, the dodgy part of the podcast.
Yeah, nah, we don't want to go the dodgy side.
Part.
Because like the dodgy side always catches up with us.
Yeah, fully.
Hey, and like even a lot of
tax man.
Yeah, the tax man is always
got to pay him. Yeah.
yeah. It's one constant is the tax, and a lot of whānau, they don't set aside money for that tax. They spend it as it comes in.
Yeah. Oh, extra free money.
Yeah, and it's like that's another discipline and system, right? Is like having a separate bank account where you every month are putting away your tax to.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that by the time you need to pay it, whether it's monthly, 6 monthly, yearly, it's actually already there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like I've seen a lot of people have to sell assets because they'd never saved up their tax, they'd spent it as they went.
Yeah.
And actually they're not being real about how much money they had. They didn't actually have that money, that was the tax money, but they're spending it anyway. Yeah, so the difference there, like I really recommend the side hustles.
Yeah.
And I like that before setting up a business because it helps us put our training wheels on our bike and actually like test it all out, see whether we're really passionate about this thing.
Yeah, if you really like your idea.
Yeah, and if it's got legs, like can you actually make some sales?
Yeah.
And so there's this graduation I think people can go through from side hustle through to like making that call of like, hey, I'm actually gonna go hard on this. I'm gonna like put real effort into it and set up a company or go full-time or whatever. But there's that I'd say start there. Yeah, with the side hustle. And like even like with side hustle, there's so many ideas of what we could do, we could with both product and service. So I was thinking before like of the different products and services that I've seen work quite well in this for side hustles and for businesses. And like it starts off with what can we make ourselves. Then it's
lower those costs.
And it's like we could have creativity and do artistic things, and if we make art if we make a physical thing that you know, like for example I've got a mate who makes she solders together these electrical systems and puts it inside a foam and it goes on a horse's neck as a like a vibrational healing, and like each of those sells for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. She's just using her own smarts, and she'd actually copied that idea from seeing a human massage machine in New Zealand. She just pulled it apart.
She made it for a horse, because people who own horses, they're rich.
Well, and they love their horses, you know. And,
horses
and so
are
they're like, oh yeah, I'll spend a couple of $100 on a horse massager. So we can make stuff, we can grow stuff. If we're out in like the far north where I come from, or in the rural areas, we can hunt stuff and sell what we hunt. We don't even have to have the stuff. We could sell other people's stuff. You know, so what I mean by that is we could go find objects that we know could sell for more, like kind of like antique shops do, you know, like we could find stuff and sell it. We could do drop shipping, or like I did early days, We could buy stuff in from China or whatever and sell it here in this market for a high price. So we could, there's these product opportunities that we've got, especially if we don't have much capital. That's a good way to start. And then the service side, we could like lease out spare office space, or if we got a car, we don't use it much, can we like rent that car, can we like hire that car out? So how do we use these assets that we have and actually like generate income off it?
Yeah.
Is one way. We could use our skills, turn our skills into some, a service. We could learn skills that we know people like to solve a problem. People really need a problem. We learn a skill, we solve it. One example of that is automation in this day and age.
Cars.
Nah, like business automation. Like online, like how do you get, if you were to like put a new, like if someone filled in a contact form on your website, that contact form then automates that being added to your database, and then an automatic email gets sent to them to say like, thank you for joining our database, like here's a list of our products, and then a text message goes to them. Like it's that automation process, because then you don't have to sit there and actually go, okay, I've got to send them an email.
Once you unlock it, it just releases them.
The newsletters, like when you like sign up to like a web. Okay.
Yeah, and I hate spam newsletters.
Same. I've been unsubscribing heaps of my emails lately.
But they work.
But I love a deal.
That's right.
Yes.
People love a deal. So we can use these automation. Like automation is one of the most underrated things in business. How do we just systemize it so that we don't even need to think about it? And I'll just drop a little nugget in here, which is that I used to think business was just about like being like self-employed or like, doing a thing and making some money.
Yeah.
That's not. Business is the system that churns out money while you're sleeping. You know what I mean? Like you want a system,
not even awake
so you don't even need to be doing
money.
anything and it's making money.
Can you speak to that a bit more? I'm like lost on that.
So I read a book when I was in high school called The Cash Flow Quadrant by a guy named Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
He also wrote a book
like the
called
Rich Dad,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah.
The follow-up to Rich Dad, Poor Dad was called Cash Flow Quadrant.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind because it completely changed my whole understanding of what business is, what good business is. So we can be employed for somebody else. Yeah. Or we could be self-employed, which means that we still have to work every hour for us. It's just that we don't work for someone else, we work for ourselves. But any hour we're not working, we're not making money. So you're still stuck on the grind, the 9 to 5 kind of thing. And the more hours you work, the more money you make. But if you don't work, you don't make any money.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a very good business. That's not a business at all. That's called self-employment. But that's what most people think.
Now. That's both of us in this.
We're all contractors here.
Yeah, and it's a way to make money.
Yeah.
But there's better ways to make money.
Yeah.
So
make it while you're sleeping.
Yeah, the better way to make money is to make it while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And so how can you be on the grind, like take what you do on the grind, but then not have to be doing it yourself and have other people, or not even necessarily people, systems to do that for you.
Yeah. Oh, like a pimp, but for business.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that.
Like the pimps aren't doing the work.
Well, yeah, fair point. Like the pimps are making the money, right? But they're not having to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what a business owner is.
Sweet. I maybe regret saying that. I don't know what pimps do fully. I don't know how hard they work. Maybe they work really hard. I don't know. Sorry, pimps.
Yeah, well, hey, there's a model there that we can think about, not in terms of the nature of the mahi they do, but in terms of the principle behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if we have systems and we have other people engaged doing that mahi, then we don't need to be grinding all the time. And we can scale it beyond just us. We can have many people doing that. So if we wanted to provide a service, say our service was translation of te reo into te reo Māori. We could do our own contracts and do all the translation ourselves, make the money once. Or we could have a group of friends who all spoke te reo Māori, and we just find ways to get contracts, and we have mahi for all of them to do, and we take a cut of every deal. And suddenly that's scaled beyond us. Then we could just go to sleep, and they could be translating all night, for example. Yeah. And us as the business owners still making money.
Yeah.
So that's what a business is. It's a system. And then you got one layer beyond that in the cash flow quadrant, which is not just being the owner of a business, but being an investor. And so investment is like the kind of the pinnacle of this, which is where you've got capital, and your capital is making money for you. So you have your money, you put it into other businesses, And by you investing your money in those businesses and them generating a profit, you get all the returns and you just sit there and your money makes money. And if your money makes money for you, you don't actually need to be doing any work for it. And then whatever work you do, you can put that into kaupapa that are important. You can put it into other things, you know, leisure, whatever you want. And so, that's the cash flow quadrant. Employed, self-employed, business owner and investor. And I know where I'd rather be. So my pursuit has been to migrate. I started off as an employee, as most of us do, you know, working in a paper plus when I was in school. I had my own little business side hustles, but they were side hustles.
Since 6?
Since 6. So practiced it. But employment, then I was like self-employed. Those side hustles were really self-employment, right? And then it was like setting up Te Whare Huka Huka business owner, because suddenly we had heaps of other team members and they were all doing the mahi for us. And then now I kind of focus on investments and I just go, what are the waves of change? What things might make money? How do I put my money into those things and see if I can make more money? So that's quite a change in the mindset.
I have a question for like our whānau listening at home. What's the difference between being a business owner and being a part of a pyramid scheme? Because I think they're different.
Yeah, they are.
But it's just, I know that sometimes like the pyramid scheme people kind of sell it as if it's like a business.
It's hard out. And there's there's like a technical term, not for pyramid schemes, but in the same kind of vein, this thing called multi-level marketing. And how they work is the more people you get in, the more money you make. And then those people, they get in so that then they get more people in and they make more money off the fact that they're getting. So it's kind of like it grows and grows and grows with all the people we bring in. But really, what is it? It's just making money off more people. It's just kind of like overhyped. That's usually the thing. Overhype and underdeliver. So there's not really a hua there that customers are getting. So if you are seeing that the business model here is stacked up off me bringing in more and more other people into the same thing who then make their money off more and more people coming in, that sounds to me like multi-level marketing or pyramid scheme, and I tend to stay clear of those. I do. I just like it's just not my jam.
Dark.
Is that unethical like businesses or nah?
I personally think that they're an unethical way of operating. And I think that the opposite of multi-level marketing or pyramid scheme is to go, what is something where it creates real impact? Where we can find a customer or a person who has this thing and benefits from it and it changes their life, it improves their life somehow. And if we have that, then we can be confident like this is a business with a kaupapa to it or with substance. And we feel comfortable attaching our reputation and our mana to it.
Cool.
And by doing that, it's going to enhance our own mana rather than whakaiti on our mana from being involved in it.
That. Well, since we're on the like unethical kind of corridor, do you...
It started with you when you talked about pimps.
I really did sort of start with the pimps.
Check that one out. What do you think of businesses, non-Māori businesses that adopt Māori names and Māori culture into their business when they're not Māori? I mean, my idea is kaua.
Hey.
And I think that for all cultures, like, I don't think Māori should be dipping into the Spanish part, you know. I think that's,
it's a real tricky one. Like, I'm like you, I'm like, don't do it. You know, don't do it. And
the intention can be positive, but, you know, it can be good
often
intention.
Often it is, but still I think that intention usually comes with ignorance. And sometimes arrogance. And one example is when I was working at the Ice House, I was head of Māori development there, so I would kind of field all of the Māori queries. That's the thing about, you know, be careful about going into a mainstream company and being like the Māori team. You become the everything Māori. It's like, oh yeah, we need a waiata, and can you stand up and do this? It's like, you get great opportunities, yes, but also beyond just your mahi, you get all these other things.
Heaps of poor thighs,
hard out. It's like the Māori teacher in any high school, suddenly becomes the kapa haka teacher.
The disciplinarian.
The disciplinarian for all the Māori kids, everything. The auntie, the uncle, everything. So I was at the Ice House and I had this request for a tech company that came to us and wanted to name their company Kaitieki. They were like a data platform that looked after something boring. It wasn't even a fun, interesting thing. It was like a boring data platform. They wanted to name it Kaitieki, and they want to know if that's okay. And I said, well, firstly, I can't comment because I'm not from Ngāti Pro.
Yeah.
That's an East Coast word, kaitiaki, and so you need to go and talk to the people who are the kaitiaki of that kupu.
Yeah.
So they did. I connected them with Tina Ngata from Ngāti Pro, or from that part of the coast, and she basically said, no. No, because that word is so meaningful to us. That like defines the very essence of who we are, and it's not appropriate for that word to be used by your company, because it's actually out of context.
Yeah.
You're talking about, yes, some sort of protection of like a data service, but it's not the full encompassment of the breadth of this kupu, kaitieki. So she said no. And the other thing about why I don't think it's a good idea is because like only one company really can have that name. You know, like you can't copy another name. So like if we have all these non-Māori companies taking these kupu that are just so meaningful, then they're not available to Māori businesses to use.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. And we see it not just with the names, we see it with tohu, logos.
Yeah.
We see it with all sorts of things. And I think that there's this real tension around acknowledging and trying to respect the culture and whakaora ai tō tātou nei Māoritanga. But there's also that sort of other side of it of like how do we make sure we're not commercializing our culture?
Yeah.
And we as Māori have to be careful about that too. It's a fine line. But we've seen some great examples. One of my mates from the far north, Awhina, she is all about tuku.
Oh, Murupanga.
Yep.
Yes. Patsi creative.
Yeah, and so
Hunting.
Look at this. We've got taking a skill and a passion and a practice of tuku, a Māori practice, and turning that into a product that all whānau can engage with, making their own tuku at home. So I think that's a beautiful example of how it can work.
Yeah.
And we just have to always navigate that and be sensitive to that cultural kind of consideration when we're in business. And I think as long as we operate under tikanga Māori or with Māori values in mind, then we're all good. And as long as we take advice from people who have who are in a position to give us good cultural advisory around that, then we keep ourselves safe.
I feel like consumers can see or can tell, like all of us can tell when a business is kind of on their buzz. We've got that internal thing where we know if it's off or not. And then I think naturally Māori want to support Māori business, so it does make sense that, only the Māori businesses are taking the Māori inwas. Cool. And so and this is where the other layer of business is important around our IP, our intellectual property, and how we protect that. Yeah. And it's a double-sided coin, because if we go and register a kupu as our IP as a business owner, even if it, say we registered the word manuka, for example. Yeah. Well, who are we to go and own the word manuka? However, here's what's happened. The Australians have done it. They beat us to it. And now what happened? They're claiming manuka is an Australian kupu, as an Australian tree, and they're wanting to charge New Zealand for using it. New Zealand business. Is that for real?
It's for real. Yeah, because we have this thing called intellectual property, right? Which is whoever registers an idea on the formal register first has claim to ownership of it.
This may be, I don't know if this is just like a petty question. Is there a difference between owning the manuka with a macron to the manuka and then to the manuka double vowels?
Good question.
You're trying to see what's left, eh?
Yeah. Like if I can't have manuka, can I have ma'anuka? Yeah, I don't know that. But that would be a question for an IP lawyer, for an intellectual property lawyer, because like
if you want the other
it's
manuka,
such a technical thing. And then the next thing is own the domain name. Manuka.co.nz, manuka.com, manuka.io, all the things. Because if we don't have the domain name, well, then you don't have a web presence. And if you don't have a web presence, do you even exist? That's kind of like the new thinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, hey, if we can't see you, then you're
if we
not
can't see
even
you
there.
online, if we can't Google you and you don't come up as a business or as an idea or whatever, well, are you dodgy? Like, are you even like a legit business?
Yeah.
So like, that's why I think putting effort into having a good web presence is really important. And ideally a domain name with a landing page. We could do most of our stuff on social, but at least if we have the registered domain name, the whatever it is, .com or .co. Probably .co.nz is more affordable. .com's like usually a lot more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but if we've got a place on like a home online, people take us way more seriously.
So you guys have, like at Te Parehuka, you guys have a rangatahi program as well. Do you see many, like in your mahi with the e-commerce as well, do you see many rangatahi coming out and starting their businesses or turning their side hustles into a formative business?
Yeah, we do. And so it kind of touches on that question before of like, what's the difference between a side hustle and a real business? And there's that graduation process, right, that we've kind of been talking about. So we see whānau take a side hustle, something that they've been working on for a little while, or even a new thing, and then turn it into a legit business, and they incorporate a company, and then they hire whānau or team members or whatever, and then they're rolling. And like that to me is kind of what success looks like, because most Māori businesses, because I sit on an advisory board for the government and I've got a lot of data about businesses. We've got 23,000 Māori businesses around the country. So there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
When I was at school, I could have only named one, which was the Tāmaki brothers, the Tāmaki Tours, which did tourism in Rotorua. It's the only one I knew. Now we just see Māori businesses everywhere in our communities, on social media, everything, which is great. But the challenge is most Māori businesses are small, like micro.
Yeah.
Like they're real little. They don't generate much money. And really it's people buying themselves a job. It's like contracting and hustling for themselves.
Yeah.
The risk with that is that, and the other thing about it is most Māori businesses are not making much profit, which is kind of like savings. Profit is the amount of money beyond what it costs to run the business.
Yeah.
So they're not generating a whole lot that they can save in their bank for a rainy day or for the hard times, and business up and down, right? So when you have a hard time, you haven't got much saved up, what do? You take a loan, then you'll work hard to pay back that. It's just like not pretty. So what I like to see about these businesses go from side hustle to then setting up and then hiring other people is they're starting to put into practice that idea of have a team, get enough scale where it's not just like one or two people doing the mahi, it's actually like building out a product range, increasing the basket size, getting in more customers, getting the frequency increased, getting the recurring revenue, all these principles, creating a budget, sticking to the budget, figuring out how do we work with other people so we can focus on what we're good at, have other people do other parts, have online systems and tools and a presence and social marketing and digital and all these things. Yeah. And then they're flying. And some of them, like in a very short space of time, have gone from 0 to like 10K revenue or 0 to 50K revenue, or in some cases over 100,000. Some Māori businesses we work with have gone from 0 to over $1 million in revenue in a couple of years. Yeah.
Damn.
I know.
Those are numbers.
Yeah.
I have a question that's a little bit of a zoom out and kind of more about you, if that's okay. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. But I feel like you really can see like the matrix of what's sort of running behind businesses in terms of like if they're doing like basket sales or if they're making you go more than once or whatever. Yeah. Is being able to see sort of behind the scenes. Like I just look at Spotify, I'm like, yeah, I don't want ads, no thoughts, subscribe. Like I'm not that deep about it. But is you being able to see the behind the scenes, is that cool for you? Are you like awesome, or is it sometimes a bit bleak?
Yeah, does it take the magic away?
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because this is what I live and breathe all day, every day. When I do see, like, it means that I spend money on almost nothing because I'm not like sucked into any things. And we might think, no, I'm not sucked in any either. But actually, like, the best way to do, and how I know I'm not sucked in, and how you'll know too if you are or aren't, is like print out or get a spreadsheet of all all transactions for the past 12 months.
Oh, no,
and categorize it. I do that every year.
What?
Yeah, and I've found that my spending's gone down each year because I've gone like, holy shit, I'm spending that much on Spotify and that much on like the gym. I didn't even go to the gym that much, and I was spending, you know, a couple of grand on it. And I do that with everything.
Wow.
All the way down to like the going out purchases, you know, like the restaurants, and you know, you do that and your restaurant bills over 12 months, you're like, wow, I didn't even realize. It just racks up. It's like more than 10 grand, you know?
Yeah.
Because it might be like $100 every time you go out sometimes.
Yeah.
If you're going out with friends and you're shouting and stuff, and hey, you do that 100 times, there's 10 grand, you know? And 100 times is only, what's that, twice a week? So that's kind of what I mean is...
Oh my gosh, I'm definitely never.
And this is where I think there's this practice that I recommend people do whether you have a business or not, which is be the CEO of your own life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, and that essentially means think like a CEO. A CEO is going to set goals. They're going to have a team of advisors around them. They're going to know their budget. Like, they're going to set budgets and they're going to stick to it. They're going to review their budget. They're going to think about the risks. They're going to put savings aside for in times of risk.
Yeah.
These are all principles we can apply in our daily life before we even set up a business. So that means when we do set up a business, we already got the habit, the disciplines
there, yeah.
all the systems in place.
Because that's kind of when business would fall as the discipline side, especially.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. And those disciplines include all that stuff of working on the business, you know, prioritizing that, carving off space to every few months, reset, what's the goals, what are the key things we need to hit, who's our customer, is our product still relevant to them, where are the gaps in our systems and our day-to-day, all that stuff is really relevant. Yeah. So going back to your question about does it take the magic out of it? Yeah. Hey, double-sided coin. I kind of like it because it means that I'm discerning about like my decisions. Yeah. But it kind of does take a little bit of the magic away from, I guess. It's like when you're involved in like productions, TV productions, or...
And you watch shows, eh?
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, I see what camera angle they used there, and I can kind of like...
the Starbucks cup on Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So you kind of... it takes a little bit of the magic out of like, you know, just the thing, but...
The fairy tale of it all.
That's how you know that you know your craft.
Yeah, you can see
when
through
you
the
start
matrix,
seeing it in the different levels of the matrix.
Yeah, I was like, you and I might have intense spendings in 12 months, but we watch a TV show and we know what's up.
Yeah, hard out.
So for any of the rangatahi who are listening, because I'm pretty sure they've started writing down everything you said and want to start a business, is there any last advice you have for them if they wanted to get into that?
Yeah, like where to start, as a rangatahi? Like if I'm interested in starting a business or I'm curious about it, I'd say start with finding something that you're passionate about. Validate. So before you like commit heaps of money to it or time to it, go and check that customers actually care about this. Figure out what's the problem, what do you reckon your solution is, how much is it going to cost you to make it, how much can you sell it for, who is that customer, like really know them, know that customer.
Build the intimate relationship.
Build the relationships. Yep. Start building a list, and then it's just and then get good people on board. You know, like around you. As rangatahi, we're not going to know everything, and we need other people who are like already knowledgeable in those areas to guide us. So that's something that I really found valuable to like accelerate my journey, was to have great mentors, and not just one, but like heaps of mentors in certain areas of the business that could guide me. Yeah, and then they're always there to like call on in hard times as well, because business is up and down, all the time. So I'd do that. I'd find a product or service that's not going to cost us much to get into, validate, get good mentors on board, be different, have resilience, be the CEO of your own life. Like really think about that, have the practices, learn what good CEOs do, go research. You know, there's so much knowledge online about all of this stuff. And then also I'd think about what are the trends that are changing the world? Like how is the world changing? Because it's often that if we can lean into that change and just be just a bit ahead of where the rest of the world is at, the market is at, like all the other people that are having businesses, then we can kind of ride that new wave. Yeah, and that means we're a bit ahead for when the opportunity comes up. So rangatahi are in a great position to do that because we're not like burdened by the past. We're not like status quo. We're actually thinking different. And then how do we convert that different thinking, that kind of energy about the future into a tangible thing that we can actually, you know, turn into a kaupapa and make some money out of.
Thank you very much, Shay. That was Business 101 for all the rangatahi that are listening.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. You're here with me, Turia Schmidt-Peke.
I'm Janaye Henry.
And we're joined by
Shay Wright. Kia ora.
Thank you so much.
Kite.
Kite.
Hema, hema, hema.